Hi, today we are going to learn about the entire Java concept. Let it be a question bank from Scoremaster ICSE Java. So first chapter is introduction to OOPS. What are the two elements of computer programming? Code, what is happening, and data, who's been affected, are the two elements of the computer programming. And the second question, what are the two types of high level language programming languages, and or what are the two categories of programming languages? One is object oriented programming, another one is procedure oriented programming. What does procedure oriented programming? Give two examples. Procedure oriented programming is conceptually organized around its code. So in procedure oriented programming, complex programs are divided into smaller programs using functions. It lays more stress on functions rather than the data. So data keeps floating throughout the program, hence scanning the whole program from beginning to the end and finding and rectifying errors is easy. Example for procedure oriented programming are Fortran, Basic, COBOL, C, etc. What are the principles of procedure-oriented programming, or list the characteristics of procedure-oriented programming? The emphasis is on the function. Problems are divided into smaller programs called functions. Data keeps floating throughout the program. It has a top-down approach, and functions share global data. List the drawback of procedure-oriented programming. It shares its data globally with the function, so changes must be made to the function if there is a slight change in the data, and it cannot help in solving complex real life problems. That's the drawback of procedure oriented. Now coming to object oriented programming, what does OOP give example? So OOP is object oriented programming. The stress is laid on the data rather than the function. Functions are executed in stipulated programming area. Data can be modified without changing the function. In OOP, creation of objects like real life object is possible. Example, Java, Python, Ruby, C++. What are the features of OOP? Stress on data item rather than the function. Data values are secured because of the concept of data hiding. Makes the program simple by dividing it into number of objects. Easier to code complex programs. The object acts as bridges for data flow from one function to another. You can write any two features. What are the advantages of OOP? Data values are secured, mishandling of data is protected, error detection correction is easier to code complex programs. We can extend the use of class by using inheritance. Creation different modules in project through the objects is possible here. The principles of object-oriented programming are data abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, dynamic binding. The other way how they will ask is what are the elements of OOPS. Differentiate between POP and OOP. Emphasis on the procedure rather than the data, whereas in OOP it is on the data rather than the procedure. Data and functions are separate. In OOP, data and functions are encapsulated. The data values move freely throughout the program from one procedure to another. Here it is restricted in OOP. The data values are not secured, the values are secured here. It follows top-down programming, whereas in OOP it is bottom-up programming approach. Define object, give example. So an object is a unique entity which has its own characteristics and behavior. Characteristics are represented in terms of data and behavior is represented in terms of function, and you have to give an example. So here I had given the example of pencil. Characteristics is it has a lead, the body is made up of wood. Behavior is it is used to write. Define class, give example. Class is a group of object is an unique entity which has its own characteristics and behavior. Your characteristics is represented as data and behavior is represented as function. So class name here is a rainbow. The objects are different colors. Each object has different color and wavelength. Define data abstraction, give a real life example. Data abstraction is the act of representing essential features without knowing the background details. Example, when we drive a car, we only know the essential features like steering wheel, gear, clutch, accelerator, brakes, etc. But while driving, we don't get into its internal details like wiring, engine, motor working, etc. What is happening inside is hidden from us. This is an abstraction where we only know the essential things to drive a car without knowing the background details. What is encapsulation? Wrapping up of data and function of an object into a single unit called class is called encapsulation. In simple words, data plus function is equal to class, which is encapsulation. How is encapsulation helpful in OOP? The source code of an object could be maintained independently. So the object maintains privacy of the data members. So that is how encapsulation is helpful. And what is inheritance? Inheritance is the property which enables a class to acquire some common properties or characteristics from another class. So it is the process of linking and sharing the common properties of a class with another class. So this can be done by extending the object of one class into other class and using through it. So it promotes reusability, and it is implemented through the keyword called as extends. What is meant by a base class, that is superclass, and derived class, that is subclass? Give an example. So inheritance is a property which enables a class to acquire some common properties or characteristics from another class during inheritance. The class that is inherited is called as a base class or the superclass, and the class that inherits is called as a derived class or the subclass. Here grade 10 is the base class, and 10A, 10B, 10C, 10D are the derived class. How is inheritance useful in Java? So the idea behind inheritance is that you can reuse or change the methods of existing class, as well as add new members in the order to adapt new situation. This technique is essential in Java, and it saves memory. It can share data and link objects. What is meant by reusability? So during inheritance, the components used to perform a task in the base class are also used in derived class for other type of processing. This feature is known as reusability. What do you mean by polymorphism? Using single method to carry out multiple tasks is called polymorphism. The process of using a function for more than one purpose is a simple definition that you can give. It's the ability of a function to behave in more than one form, or function overloading is a way to implement polymorphism in the programming. What is dynamic binding? Linking the function call with function signature during the runtime is called as dynamic binding. What is garbage collection? So the garbage collection heap is where the object and the data Java programs are sorted. Whenever we allocate an object using new operator, the heap comes into picture and the memory is allocated from there. That is called as garbage collection. How are encapsulation and data abstraction related? So encapsulation means wrapping up of data and function into a single unit called class. Encapsulation, that is the definition. Moreover, the data is kept hidden, which cannot be accessed directly outside the class, although it is a part of the program. And data abstraction is the act of representing essential features without including the background details. What is meant by data hiding? Encapsulation is also known as data hiding here. It is the data which cannot be accessed directly outside the class premises, although they are in the same program. Name the following. The Java concept that is implemented through the act representing essential features without including the background details. The Java concept that is implemented through the superclass and subclass. Concept that can be implemented through the function overloading. The first one is data abstraction. Second one is inheritance, that is subclass and superclass. Polymorphism is always related to function overloading. What do you mean by Java packages? Packages are the collection of similar nature classes. A package can be created by using the keyword called as import. Okay, so Java packages are java.lang, which is called by default, .io for input output package, util for utility package, and applet for applet package. Difference between objects and the class. Class is a collection of various data members and member functions. Object, it is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior. A class, it is called as a blueprint of the object or the object factory. Here object, it is an instance of a class. What does a class encapsulate? The class will encapsulate the data members and the member functions. Why an object is called as the instance of a class? Object is called as the instance of the class because the object is created with the help of the class only. The object is nothing but a variable class type. That is what you have expected to write. Why is class known as a composite data type? So class is defined by the user. It consists of various data members and member functions. So it can be called as a composite data type. State Java concept that is implemented through a superclass and subclass is inheritance. Act of representing essential features without including background details is data abstraction. Why is class called as an object factory? Class is a blueprint of the object. Class is a user-defined type that is used to create many objects of the same class. Since one class creates many objects, it is termed as the object factory. The second chapter is history and development of Java, defined bytecode. So the source code is converted into intermediate code by Java compiler, which is known as a bytecode. The byte is in the binary form. It is a platform independent code. Otherwise, you can also write intermediate code, which only Java virtual machine can understand, and it can run on any platform. Name the types of Java program. One is Java application, the other one is Java applets. Java application is the application code that is typed by the user. Java applet is downloaded from the internet. Any four features of Java: it is object-oriented programming language, it can be both compiled and interpreter, it is platform independent, it is robust programming language, it is case sensitive language. Explain the compilation process of Java. The source code is converted into intermediate code by Java compiler. Then the intermediate code is interpreted and evaluated by the Java virtual machine depending upon the different operating system. What are the command statements? How is it implemented in Java? The command statements are non-executable statements which used to give explanation about the logic of the program or the formula used to method of solving the program. So it can be, there are three different command statements. One is single line, second one is multi-line, and documentation. You have to write the example. The concepts of data types in Java. Concepts of data types in Java. So what is Java character set? It is a set of valid characters that a language can recognize. The character sets of Java is Unicode. This has been selected due to its vastness of character. It is 2-byte character code. The first 128 characters of Unicode are identical to ASCII character set. What are Java tokens? Tokens are the smallest individual units of a Java program. There are 5 different tokens. Please keep in mind it is KILPO, keywords, identifiers, letters, punctuators, and operators. Punctuators are otherwise also called as separators. What are keywords? Keywords are the reserved words which convey a special meaning to a Java compiler. They cannot be used for any other purpose like function name, variable name, or object name. There are around 48 keywords of which const and goto have been reserved even though they are not currently being used. So you can, whichever keyword you write, you can write to false. All these are the null appear to be actually the literals and hence they are reserved keywords. Okay, difference between double and the float data type. Float occupies 4, double occupies 8 memory, 8 bytes. Default is 0.0f, here is 0.0. It gives up to 6 digit accuracy, it gives up to 15 digits accuracy. And the primitive data type in Java, a 64 bit integer, and is used when you need a range of values wider than those provided int. As long a single 16-bit Unicode character, that is /u if they give it is char. What is a literal? Name the different types of literal used in Java. Literal is one of the token in the program whose value never be changed during the program execution, otherwise it is called as a constant. There are 6 types of literal: integer, real, character, string, boolean, and null. Give one example each of the primitive data type. Primitive data type: int, float, char. Inbuilt data types: composite are arrays and classes. What are the rules of naming variable? They can consist of infinite number of alphabets and digits. They must start with an alphabet and not with a digit. They cannot be a keyword or a server. They cannot have any spaces. They cannot contain any special characters other than underscore and dollar. What is type conversion? Means in different types of type conversion. The type conversion of one data type into another data type is mixed mode expression is called as type conversion. There are 2 types, implicit and explicit. So this is a difference between implicit and explicit. The conversion which is done by the compiler without user intervention is implicit. With the user intervention is explicit. Always converts lower data type to higher. Here in explicit it can convert any data type to other data type. There is no loss of data. There may be a loss of data in explicit. It can be called as automatic conversion or correction. It can be called as typecasting or user defined data typing. What is a variable? How do you declare the variable in Java? Variable is a name memory location which used to store a value. The value of a variable may be changed during the execution of a program. Example, int a. Differentiate between pure and impure expression. The expression which contains only one type of operators and operands, it is pure. Expression which contains both integer and real type operator, it is impure. The other example is mixed mode expression here. The default value of primitive data type int and float. Int is 0, float is 0.0 f. Differentiate between primitive data type and composite data type. Primitive is predefined in language. Composite is defined by the user. Primitive, its range and size is fixed. The composite data type, the range and size of the data type is not fixed. Primitive, it is used to store only one value at a time. Composite it can be used to store group of variables at a time. What are identifiers? Name the rules for naming the identifier. Identifier is a word or a group of characters which is used to represent certain elements of a program. It is defined by the user. It may be used to represent the name of the variable or function or a class of the array, etc. It is one of the token in Java. Otherwise, identifiers are otherwise called as variables. Rules is it must start with an alphabet, underscore or $sign only. It should not be a single word. It is a case sensitive. It should not be a keyword. Identify the literals listed below. 0.05 is real. B is a character literal. True is a boolean literal, and true within double quotes is string literal. Arrange the following primitive data according to the ascending order. Char by double int is given. You have to keep in mind BC LFD, BCSI LFD. So it is byte, char, int, and double. What is data type? Give one example for primitive and composite data type. Data type is a type of value stored in a variable during the execution of the program. Primitive data type is int, float, double. Composite is array and class. Explain typecasting. Give example. Conversion of one data type into another data type in a mixed mode expression is known as typecasting. Example, double x is equal to 12.5 is given. Int a, x is now forcibly converted by using the typecasting. What is escape sequence? Give any for example. It is a non-graphical character which is used to direct the cursor. It always starts with a backslash, okay, which cannot be directly typed by the keyboard. Otherwise, the other name given for escape sequence is non-graphical characters. /t is for horizontal tab, /n is for new line, /v for vertical tab, /b is for backspace. State two kinds of data type, primitive and non-primitive data type, or the two kinds of data type. Now classification. Char is primitive, int is primitive here, arrays and classes are composite data type. The output is being asked here, the king and all this. This is the use of SOPLN statement, system.out.println statement. So here comes the incredible /n is given. So it's incredible, the next line is India. Here /n is given. The king said slash, so the slash is an escape sequence here. So the king said begin at the beginning to me. What is the difference between keyword and identifier? Identifier, keyword. Identifier, it is defined by the user. Keyword, it is predefined. Identifier, it does not have any particular meaning. Keyword, each keyword has been assigned to a special meaning. You can see the identifier example is total, sum, mark, etc. Keyword is int, do, for, etc. List of variables, those given below, that is composite data type. You can just see here second one and third one are the composite data type. All the other things are. Identify and name the following tokens. Public is a keyword, a is a constant, equal to is an operator, square bracket is a punctuator or separator. Here it is the range and size hierarchy of the primitive data type. Boolean, it's 1. Short and char is 2. Boolean and byte is actually 1. Short and char is 2. Int and float is 4, whereas long and double is 8 bytes. Keep that in mind. Operator and expression chapter. What is an operator? An operator is a symbol or letter which causes the compiler to take an action and yield a value. What is an operand? In computer programming, an operand is a term used to describe any object that is capable of being manipulated. For example, 1 plus 2, and here 1 and 2 are the operands and the plus is a operator. What do you mean by precedence of operator? The hierarchical order in which the operators are used to perform the operations are called as precedence of operator. Differentiate arithmetic expression and arithmetic statement. Arithmetic expression, it is formed by using constant variables in arithmetic operator. Arithmetic statements, when an expression is assigned to a variable, it is a statement. And what are the forms of operators? Forms are unary, binary, and ternary. And the types of operators are arithmetic, relational, and logical operators. Unary operator, an arithmetic operator with a single operand, is called as a unary operator. Plus, minus, plus, plus, and minus, minus are the operators here. Unary increment and unary decrement operators are the two types of unary operators, and that unary increment and decrement will have prefix and postfix. So unary operators, difference between unary and binary is operand, it operates only on one operand. Binary operates on two operands. The priority of unary operator is higher than the binary operators. Here it is lower. Give the examples. Now coming to the prefix, plus plus a is prefix. Increment operator applied before the operand. It changes before the action, and value of the variable changes before any action. So finding the value of a, if a is equal to 7, you have to find a is equal to plus plus a into 4. So before it is a, after change it becomes plus plus a becomes 8 because you are adding it beginning only. Now a 8, that is plus plus a into 4 becomes 8 into 4, that is 32. The next one is like a plus minus minus a value is 7, so minus minus a, it decrements it by 1, so 6 into 4 is equal to 24. That will be the answer. Change before action. So here a prefix, change after action. After the action only the value will get changed. So here 7 is given, a plus plus is 7, but in the memory after that it becomes the incremented value. So if you are giving a plus plus into a, 7 is the first one, a plus plus into a is 8, 7 8s are 56. Same thing is applicable in minus minus 7, but in the memory it becomes 6, so 7 into 6 is 42. Differentiate between modulus and division, that is slash operator, division operator. It is used to find the remainder. Here it is used to find the quotient. It can be used on integer data type only. Here it can be used both on integer and real data type, and give an example there. Difference between equal to and equal to operator. Equal to is an assignment operator. Equal to is a relational operator. Equal to is used to assign a value to a variable, whereas here it is used for comparison. So it has lower priority than equal to operator. It has a higher priority than the equal to operator. That is the difference between equal to and equal to. The next example will be equal to and equals. So it is a relational operator. Here it is a string function. It is used to compare two numerical values. It is used to compare two strings. So these are the example. Rewrite the following using the ternary operator. It's given here. Whenever it's a ternary operator, this comes first. X modulus 2, that is any comparative operator comes here with a question mark, and then you can print the first statement here followed by a colon, and then the second statement, semicolon. What is the use of syntax of ternary operator? The ternary operator is used to choose any one statement from the execution out of two alternatives. It can be used as an alternate for if else statement. It is also called as condition assignment operator. Syntax is variable is equal to expression, question mark, statement 1, you have to give a colon, then statement 2, semicolon. Decision making in Java. So what is selection or decision making? Branching statement. Give to example. The statement which is used to select or choose any one option out of more available option for execution is known as selection statement. It can be called as a decision making or branching statement. Example, if statement and switch statement. Difference between if else and switch case. The floating point values can be tested in if statement. Floating point values cannot be tested in switch statement. All the relational conditions can be tested. Only the equality condition can be tested. The range of values can be tested. The range of values cannot be tested here. Break statement is not used in if statement. Break statement can be used in switch case statement. What is a compound statement? Give example. Compound statement is a group of statement which is enclosed within curly brackets. Then you'll have to give an example there. What is follow through in a program where multiple cases are available? The control needs to execute a specific case or block for given switch case value. If the break statement is not applied at the end of the case, then the control ends into next case statement for execution. This unusual execution of the program, more than one case at a time, will result in fall through. What is the use of default statement? If no case values matches the switch expression value, execution continues as a default case clause. This is the equivalent of the else for the switch statement. It is written after the last case and typically it is followed by the break. That is what you have tried. Iteration through loops, define loop. Loop is a repeated set of action again and again until a particular condition is satisfied. There are two types of loop: entry control loop and exit control loop. Entry control loop, which is also known as pre-tested loop, the condition of the loop is first checked and then the loop body is executed, which means if the condition is false, the loop does not get executed even for once. Example, for loop and a while loop. Exit control loop, which is also known as post-tested loop, the condition is checked at the end of the loop, which means even if the condition is false, the loop gets executed at least once. Do while loop. Entry control loop and exit control loop difference also will be asked. You can just go through the difference once because it's the same as how what we have discussed. Next one is the difference between break and continuous statement. Again, an important question. Switch statement or a loop, it can be used in a switch statement or a loop statement. It can be used only in the loop statement. It will terminate the loop switch statement and transfer the control to the next statement. Here it suspends the current iteration of the loop and transfer the control to the beginning of the loop. Jump statement example, the statement which is used to transfer the program control from one point to the other point of the program unconditionally. Examples, it can also called as an unconditional control statement. Example, break, continue and return. What do you mean by infinite loop? Give example. The infinite loop is a loop which the test condition is always true, so the loop keeps on executing without termination. So here comes a infinite loop. There will be no termination. Nested loop, a loop within another loop is called as the nested loop. Here I loop, inside I loop you have the J loop. Wrapper classes. What is a package? Keyword used to load the package in the program. Package is a collection of classes where each class contains several functions to perform different tasks. The keyword import is used to load the package. What is a wrapper class? Name the package which contains a wrapper class. The wrapper class is a built-in class which has various methods to convert the string objects into primitive data types and vice versa. The package java.lang contains a wrapper class. Example, integer, float, double, long, etc. What is autoboxing and unboxing? Give example. Autoboxing is the process of converting a primitive value into an object of the corresponding wrapper class. Example, x is equal to 10 is given. Here you're just converting into the wrapper class. Here unboxing is converting an object of a wrapper class object to its corresponding primitive values. You're doing the vice versa there. That is, integer obj is equal to integer of 10. So you're just converting the wrapper class into the primitive. What are library classes? Give example. The predefined class in the class is called as library class. The collection of predefined classes is called as a package, and give the example there. Exception handling. Exception refers to any contradictory or unusual situation which can be encountered during a program execution. Exceptions can be handled by throws, try and catch. Scanner classes. What is a scanner class in Java? The Java scanner class breaks the input into tokens using a delimiter, that is a white space by default. It provides many methods to read and parse various primitive values. What are the uses of scanner class? Allows the user to input the data values of various type. This allows the user to input the values from either the keyboard or from the file without using any conversion. How will you import scanner class package? Import java.util.scanner. How will you create scanner class object? Scanner s is equal to new scanner of system.in. And these are the methods of the scanner class. Double, next double, it scans the next token of the input as double. Next float, next int, next line, next long, next short, next dot char at 0 can also be given. These are the methods of scanner class which are used to take the input. How does a scanner read the data? Scanner reads the data, reads the input and breaks down the input into tokens. A token is a part of input which is separated from other token by using the white spaces. Rules to be followed while using scanner classes. Determine if a specific type of input is available or not using the next method. If the input is available, then read it by calling the next method. So we have to repeat the process until the tokens are read. coming to the next topic is functions. What is a function? Why do we use functions while program handling? A named unit of the group of program statement. This unit can be invoked from other parts of the program. What is a function? What is the use of void before using function? Void data type specifies an empty set of values, and it is used as a return data type for function that do not return value. Thus, that particular function will not return any value. So that is why we are using the void function. Why is main function so special? The main function is invoked in the system by default. Hence, as soon as the command for the execution of the program is used, control directly reaches the main function. Function prototype and function signature. The function prototype is the first line of the function definition that tells the program about the type of the value returned by the function and the number and the type of the arguments. Function signature basically refer to the number and the types of the argument. It is a part of function prototype. Explain function of a return statement. The return statement is useful in two ways. First, an immediately exit from the function is caused as soon as the return statement is encountered and the control back to the main caller. Second use of return statement, it is used as a value to the calling code, or the return statement is otherwise called the function terminator. What are the advantages of using function in a program? Function lessens the complexity of a program. Functions hide the implementation details. Functions enhance reusability of a code. Difference between actual and formal parameters. The parameter that appears in the function call statements are called as actual argument, and the parameter that appears in the function definitions are called formal parameter. What are static members? The members that are declared static is called static members. These members are associated with the class itself rather than individual objects. The static members and static methods are often referred to as class variables and the methods. Use of static in the main method. They can only call other static methods. They can only access static data. They cannot refer to this or super in any way. What is call by value? In the call by value, the called function creates its own work copy for the past parameters and copies the past value unit. Any changes that takes place remain in the work copy, and the logical data, the original data remains intact. Explain the term passed by reference. In passed by reference, the called function receives the reference to the past parameters, and through this reference it accesses the original data. Any changes that takes place are reflected in the original data. Impure function change the state of the object, whereas pure function will not change the state of the object. Impure function changes the state of the object arguments that they have received and then return the following function in the example of the impure function. So it will change the state of the object. What does function overloading mean? A function name having several definitions in the same scope that is differentiable by the number and type of the arguments. It is said to be function overloading. So what will happen is same function with different parameters are called as function overloading. It is implemented through polymorphism. Class and the object instant variables. The variables which is used inside the class but outside of the function is called as the instant variables. Local variable. The variable which is declared inside a block or a function is called as a local variable. The local variable can be used only inside the function wherever it is declared. It cannot be used in another function. Purpose of the new operator, it is used to allocate the memory dynamically to array or object. Static variable is a variable which is used in the class for which only one copy is created in the memory. It is a common memory which is shared by all the objects of the same type. It can be called as class variable. It is declared with the keyword static. And differentiate between private members and the public members. Private members can be accessed only by the member functions of the class. The object cannot access the private members. Public members can be accessed by both member functions and the objects. Private members cannot be inherited. Public members can be inherited. Differentiate between private and the protected. Private members cannot be inherited. Public members can be protected members. What are the difference between static variable and instant variable? Only one copy is created in the memory and all the objects are sharing the common memory. And here instant variable, individual memory is created. It can be called as class variable. It can be called as instant variable. Special keyword used is static. Here there's no special keyword. Constructor is a special method which has got the same function name as a class name. It is used to initialize the instant variables. It is automatically called whenever the object of the class is created. There are three types of constructor: default constructor, parameterized constructor, and copy constructor. These are the three types of constructor. What is a parameterized constructor? Constructor which accepts parameters is called as parameterized constructor. It can be invoked automatically when the object of the class is created. Difference between constructor and functions. Constructor will have the same name as that of the class name, whereas function will have any name. Constructor should not have any return data type, whereas function will have a return data type. It is called automatically when the object is created. It is called by using the dot operator. Then only we can call the function. It cannot be inherited, whereas function can be inherited. Which unit of the class gets called when the object of the class is created? It is parameterized constructor. Why do we need a constructor as a class member? Constructor is used to initialize the object with legal initial values. So constructor is called implicitly when the object is created. Mention any four characteristics of constructor. It should have the same name as a class name. It should not have any return data type, not even void. It can have parameters, so it can be overloaded. It is called automatically when the object is created. It is used to initialize the object. What is the unit of the class which gets called when the object of the class is created? It's constructor. Array. What do you understand by the array? How do you declare an array? Array is a collection of variables of the same data type. An array is referred by a common name. Array can be declared this way: int n of is equal to new int of 10. Different types of array: single dimension array and double dimension array or multiple dimension array. An array having only one subscript is single dimension array. More than one subscript is multi-dimension array. How are array initialized? Array can be initialized at the time of declaration by assignment statement, by using the function argument, by buffer reader or scanner classes. What are the operations performed using array? Searching, sorting, inserting, deleting, and merging. How will you create an array? Data type, variable name is equal to new data type of number of values stored. So int a of is equal to new int of 10. Name the keyword that is used for allocating memory to an array is new. What happens if we try to access elements outside the array size? So JVM will throw array index out of bound exception to indicate that the array has been accessed with an illegal index. The index is either negative or greater than or equal to the size of the array. What is subscript or index? The value of the size of the array that are enclosed within square brackets are called a subscript. It is represented by the size of the array. No value it can accommodate. So m of 10, where 10 is a subscript. What is subscripted variable? The name that is given to the array variable we call it a subscripted variable. Here m is a subscripted variable. Distinguish length and length. Length is used to find the length of the array, where length of is used to find the length of the string. Define searching, the process of finding the location of a particular element in the array. Search may not involve all the elements in the array. We have got two types of search: linear search and binary search. Linear search will work both on sorted and unsorted array. The search process always starts from the first element of the array and it keeps on going till the end of the array. It is a slow process. Binary search, it works only on the sorted array. It will always search in the middle element in the array. It may be faster. These are the examples given for array 1, 4, 6, 8. Always array index starts with 0. Length is 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5. And array of 2 is 0, 1, 2, 6. So 6th element, 6, 1. What is the what will the code print finally? It will print garbage value because AR or off is not given there. B off is not given there. Searching in arrays. Searching is one of the basic operations in array. It is a process to determine whether a given item is present in the array or not. There are two ways of searching: linear search and binary search. Linear search, search at the start, continues one after the other. each element unchecked and compared with the array element until it reaches data item. And we have got two types of sorting: selection sort and bubble sort. Bubble sort is the simplest sorting algorithm that works by repeatedly swapping the adjacent element if they are in wrong order. So what is sorting? Sorting means arranging the elements either in the ascending order or descending order. So thank you and all the best. Do well in your exams.